The right question at the right time can shift your entire reality. Today, we dive into how to ask questions that actually create clarity, why being curious heals more than trying to control everything, and what to do when the answers just won't come. So let's start with the quote. The right question at the right time can shift your entire reality. And if you're walking through your life without questioning what you feel, what you notice, the moments in your life that carry weight, then it's tough to unveil the insight that is kind of packed into that gift, which is the present, right? The present moment is a gift if you will attend to it. One of the easiest ways to begin to let your consciousness change so that you're less trapped but more balanced in terms of a bird's eye perspective, whilst also being able to execute the sniper shot. See, if you're too much of a bird's eye perspective, then you won't shoot. But if you're too reactive, then you'll shoot at all the wrong things. So you have to ask questions to have that connection to God or source or your heart, Buddha, Allah, Christ, whatever religion that you resonate with. The truth is the truth. And the problem with religion is the division that it creates. So, what we're talking about is the essence that is under every single truth in this entire world. And that is just to see how to let your consciousness show you what it's trying to show you. As in, if we zoom out for a moment, consciousness itself has created this entire world. Where you can look, you can see the lightning has a similar pattern as the branches. The branches similar to our nervous system. So I say that to extrapolate the point that there is an intelligence greater than the human mind, which has also created the human mind. So we have to learn how to use our logic and dance with what isn't logic, which is also within us. And the right question, it will come in so many different forms. Sometimes you won't have the clarity to ask the questions, and that's okay. That's part of moving. That's part of life. Because even when you don't have the clarity, you find yourself in a state of being which may be heavy, sad, depressed, whatever word you want to use, anxious, jealous, envious, insecure, etc. When you ask the question around the moment that you feel the tension, then you'll start to see how that tension was brought into existence. And the fact is that no one did anything to you. Practically, maybe someone did something to you. But holistically, bird's eye perspective, it's a gift. And when we ask questions around, I think first of all, we need to understand what has to happen within the psyche to even consider asking the right question, which is if you're blaming someone else, you will not have that capacity to learn from the situation. If you are a victim, same thing. Seeing that life is a gift, even when it hurts, that's not the easiest thing to do, but what we're looking at here is what happens when you don't do that, right? And you can see, I'm sure you've done it before, we've all done it, where we're mad or just hurt, or we feel something happened to us that shouldn't have happened to us. The why me comes up, even with Jason Tatum tearing his whatever he tore. I know that there was an interview about him asking why me, but I'm sure he got over that because you have to. It's like you take the things which your mind could complain about and you sit with them, you question them, and then your heart shows you that there's another side to it. There's a different angle to it. And this isn't just like strategical thinking or changing your perspective. It's more than that. It's changing how you live. It's shifting the way that you see this entire world, the interactions with others, the thoughts that you have. And when you live holistically aligned, then you're going to ask the questions that propel you toward deepening, toward expanding that consciousness. You know what happens when you're no longer stuck in petty living, in the victim, in comparison, in competition? It really creates a new space so that you move in a manner which we could use the word abundant. You move in a abundant manner. And this means that you attract, but we're not just settling on, oh, just, yeah, attract things. That's why we bring in the sharpshooter perspective as well, where your bird's eye perspective, but you have to be ruthless in moments, especially when that's what the situation has presented you with. Whereas I'm not going to tell you how to be ruthless, but sometimes you're dynamic. You're supporting, then other times you're sharp. And this, you need to learn to integrate this. Because if you're too much of any way, there becomes an imbalance. Yeah. And you can see what happens in your body, in your physio. Almost every deadly disease is created via a imbalance physically. And you don't need to be a scientist to create balance in your being. You mix knowledge, intellect with flow and openness. Sometimes your heart will give you the answers. Sometimes non-coincidental insight, which has relationship to knowledge or science, will come through your heart, through your mind. It's a dance. But the moment you go too far anyway, you lose that dynamic flow, that ability to surrender and know when to be a savage, to be ruthless. You mix that together, it's a joy. It's a joy. So, how to ask questions that actually create clarity. Now, when you start, you're going to need to simplify, meaning that part of having clarity is having simple thinking. And then another part of clarity is being able to observe your thinking. If your thinking is extraordinarily sporadic, chaotic, and just emotionally charged, it's not simple enough to even observe. I don't know, there's a certain spider. It's one of these smaller jumping spiders that I observe sometimes. This spider, it moves so fast, even when all my attention, I'm just watching that spider. Its micro movements of its legs move in light speed. Like my eye can't even track how quick this jumping spider moves its legs. It's faster than when a hummingbird is in its wings. And it's mind blowing. So, what I'm saying there is if your thinking isn't simple, then what? Well, you're not so emotionally attached to everything in your life because you're doing work, you're walking in alignment. So you have more of a space, accuracy in noticing the false, in hearing the truth, in dancing with the rhythm of the beat, which is there. You will naturally get good asking profound, powerful, and unveiling questions when you first start to simplify the way that you approach this world. Meaning that, your nutrition isn't something terribly complicated. You don't need to track macros. You do roughly track protein. Uh, You don't need to weigh your food. Like, integrate intuition with practicality. And that's how you get a feel for asking the right questions. Because heart-based path isn't just for nature, it's for business too. We're talking about asking the right questions in relationship to big business decisions, 100 mil on the line, etc., where you just don't want to rely on your mind solely to get an answer, but you have something which feels heavy that you need an answer to. So put all the variables into place. Be organized physically, be organized digitally, meaning that you don't have too many folders. You have maybe 3 to 5 core pillars digitally, physically. And then you have sub pillars. But if you're organized, then your thinking will be organized. Then when you're clear and simple, the intuition will be able to speak. You'll be able to hear it. And that's where the questions come from. But before you get the intuition, that insight, that source guided work, you have to show God or whoever you see to be the truth. The fact is that the names, the avatars, there are prophets like Christ, Allah, Buddha around this world. They're here. They're on this planet. And that's the trap of religion. It prevents you from having the awareness to understand that this game is ever going, that there wasn't just one Jesus. I'm not saying that Jesus himself, the second coming, I'm saying that there are individuals who catch on to the truth. The truth is what makes these people seem special. It's not them, their thoughts. Like, it's the integration, the embodiment, that which I'm doing my best to speak of here. I'm not implying that I'm special. I'm just saying that, the questions don't come via force. They come via a surrender, which is balanced with execution. So you will put in effort, but then you'll also understand that effort isn't the one path. What I'm saying is that this is an extraordinary, gentle, subtle dance that only you can walk for yourself. No one can walk it for you. I can say all I want here. I can share breadcrumbs. Maybe you hear, maybe you don't. But this is your life. It's your path. It's your truth. Now, that all being said, why being curious heals more than trying to control everything? Well, when you want to control, you're coming from a place of maybe you don't notice it, maybe you do, but the need to control something is hinting toward a insecurity. And this is where the balance comes in. I'm sure there will be a point in my life where I relinquish. But right now, being a young man in my 20s, I know there are certain things I have to burn out and do physically. Like I can't just spiritual away certain things. And one of those big ones for me is financial stability, abundance, so that I can build the businesses that really create an empire for this world, not for myself, but build something meaningful. That means I can't want to control everything. I have to learn how to surrender and be curious in how God is guiding me towards certain fields, certain avenues, rather than me trying to create a plan, a blueprint. In 2 years, I'll do this. In 5 years, I'll do this. Now, sometimes you do that, and that's the balance. For example, surfing and jujitsu. I said to myself, jujitsu is something I gotta start. It feels right. Surfing is next. Like, I gotta start that soon. Now, I'm not gonna force it. I'm not just gonna obsess over getting into surfing because there are other things that have to happen. But all simultaneously, it's this curiosity, this openness. Okay, I know I'm meant to do certain things. I don't know how exactly I'm going to let those things unfold. Where can I execute more? Where can I be a bit ambitious whilst not losing my sanity? Whilst not over attaching to a specific outcome and creating this excess potential of once I get this, then, because that's the illusion. That's just projected into the future. That's not real. So it's this game really of knowing who you are, but letting yourself learn each day. You don't learn via memory projecting into the future. You don't learn via living in the past, your knowledge, your experiences, projecting them onto the moment now. You learn through feeling, attending to the things that arise, and then moving loosely every day, every moment, not thinking so much about yourself whilst also understanding that you're meant to do something. So, what to do when the answers just won't come? And, you know, when the answers won't come, you're probably seeking the answers. So instead of forcing that key into the lock when it won't fit, do something else. Whether it be picking up a book, cleaning your house, building some wire racks, organizing the garage, grooming your dog, bathing your dog, cutting your hair. Do something physical if the answers won't come. If you feel off physically, walk, work out, laundry. This is always going to be the simple path to getting the psychological space so that you have the clarity which the answers are invited through. When you see and you notice that your psyche is small or closed, then you can change it. But if you don't start, if you don't question, wait, is this how I'm meant to feel? How did I create this state? If you don't question, then how are you going to get the answers? So it's this dynamic play where sometimes you wear the mask and then take the mask off. Understand when to do what. It's intuitive, but it can also be organized and structured. Where too much of anything, it just leads you down a dark path. Too much faith and intuition, excessive grounding in only the logical, limited. You won't have that power, that strength. But you dance, you put it all together, then you are no longer conforming because you see the answers are within you. You can learn from others. You can, team up with others. You can understand that your brain, your being, you've been created a certain way. Someone has been created another way. You're both the same, but you're also different. Learn how to mix. Learn how to combine, communion, team, work together without self-interest. Man, too much team isn't good either, though. So if you let's go into the recap. How to ask the questions that actually create clarity. Start with movement. Notice your patterns. If you see your patterns and you get out of a stuck state, then you'll have the space to pinpoint the role that you played in creating that stuck state. If you see the role you play, then maybe you can change how you move. If you change how you move, then maybe your entire life is of a new essence. Why being curious heals more than trying to control everything. Curiosity is more of a playful openness. And that leaves doors open. That creates opportunity. Trying to control everything, it's scary. It's hinged upon weakness, insecurity, and fear. So it's always about the route in which you're building through. Now, what to do when the answers just won't come? Move, okay? Move. Physically, there's plenty of actions to do. But get off the phone, get off the screen. If the answers won't come, it isn't complicated. And hey, maybe you're in a certain state where you've ingested food that has you feeling lethargic. Still, move. Go for a walk, slower pace. Sometimes you just got to start, even if starting's hard. Build again, start again. Let's go. I appreciate you so much. Thanks for listening. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for you. Let's keep doing the work. Keep doing the work. If you want to ask better questions together, I'll guide you through, first of all, unraveling where you're at right now, right? Holistically, not judgmentally, but just the context of where you're at as a being. And that I can only understand that through having a conversation with you, hearing the words you use, the tones you use, the talking points that you choose, et cetera, et cetera. But from there, we can unveil where you're at and then understand what might be keeping you stuck. You know, a lot of it could come from this video, but if you want the fast, accelerated course, the one on one guidance, where we just have a conversation together, you know, check the link below. After we get clear on the roadblocks, what happens is then we start to accelerate because you're no longer tripping or stumbling every few moments or every few days. Kind of learn how to hear, learn how to see, learn how to dance with the rhythm. Then we'll work on the subtleties, the nuances within that. Because there's always, this thing's ever expanding. I'm not at all done doing the work. I just know that maybe some people could use someone like me to have those conversations with. I'm not special. It's really about the lack of me, which creates the beauty in those conversations. If any of that interests you, again, link below, check it out.